So here is a quick update on Suicide Squad once again. These are the estimated totals for the weekend, accumulated totals of course added to whatever else. So the projection is that Suicide Squad by the end of today will have raked in $322,533,924. If you do remember, I thought that Suicide Squad would make somewhere between $318 million and $322 million, so it's exceeded my estimations. And worldwide, they're expecting it to make $742,133,924. Now, I will keep this as a note, okay, and we will come back to this and see what the actuals actually look like. But here's another very interesting thing I just wanted to say before I go into those totals again. When we look at Suicide Squad in terms of its weekends above $1 million, these estimates show that Suicide Squad will be into its 10th weekend, if these estimates are correct. It will have covered 10 weekends in a row where it has grossed in over $1 million. And when it comes to comic book movies this year, Suicide Squad is the only comic book movie this year to have done that, and that really says a lot about it. It's even done more than Deadpool. Deadpool went for 9 weeks in a row, but Suicide Squad has been able to do this for 10 weeks in a row. That's pretty big, okay? Now let's go back to the grosses here of Suicide Squad. So the grosses for Suicide Squad, as we see here, $742 million worldwide and $322 domestic. What does that mean in terms of all-time domestic box office? It means that in terms of domestic box office, Suicide Squad is now going to still stay at the 49th position, just trailing Shrek if these estimates are accurate. But it made some distance between Transformers, and now it's chasing after Shrek to surpass Shrek. And that would be the only other movie that it's going to overtake. After that, it has to chase down Forrest Gump, which is a good distance away, and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is the next target. Can it chase them down? We don't know. I have to see. This is the 10th week it's been in cinemas. WB has a way of pulling their movies out of cinemas after the 12th week. So they don't go like 18 weeks or 22 weeks like, say, for instance, the Marvel movies. So I'm not really quite sure if it will be able to chase down Forrest Gump, if it's just a little too far away. We'll see. Time will truly tell. But if it overtakes Forrest Gump, then there's no reason why it won't overtake Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. And if it does better than Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, that will be a big, big, big plus. Let's go on to its worldwide box office, and what does that mean? Well, in terms of its worldwide box office, now it has jumped from 79th place to 77th place, overtaking The Matrix Reloaded. So it jumped past Up, and it also jumped past The Matrix Reloaded, and so it is now in the 77th position, and it has also grossed over $742 million. Another big milestone, having crossed now the $740 million mark. So it is climbing, it's doing its thing, and it's climbing. Will it be able to pass the $750 million mark? We'll have to wait and see, but at least in terms of estimates and projections, it's now chasing after Monsters University. I do believe it will overtake Monsters University. Will it overtake the Chronicles of Narnia? I think so too. Will it overtake Madagascar 3? That is very much possible, and it may also overtake X-Men Days of Future Past. Will it overtake Shrek Forever After? I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll overtake The Hunger Games in the coming weeks to come. It only has 2 more weeks in cinemas, I think, before WB pulls it, or they may leave it a little longer because it's doing so well in cinemas. We'll see. But at the end of the day, it gets anywhere beyond $750 million is already outdone anything that I expected it to do. In fact, I expected it to land at $740 million. Somewhere thereabouts. I told you guys that. Now it looks like it's going to go even further, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll have to see how long it stays in cinemas. If they keep it long enough in cinemas, it could do some extraordinary things. So we'll have to wait and see what will happen. I don't know. Now, having said that, I said that in terms of comic book movies, it has grossed more than any comic book movie this year. So the comic book movies that came out this year, I'm just going to click on year here. The comic book movies that came out this year are Captain America Civil War. We had Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. We had Deadpool. We had X-Men Apocalypse. And I think that's it. After that came, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was another comic book movie, Out of the Shadows. And then we have here, I think that's about it. I think there's another one, but I can't see it right now. So anyway, those are the comic book movies that we're talking about. Yep. So those are in addition to Suicide Squad, okay? And in terms of these comic book movies, when we look at Captain America Civil War, it spent 8 weekends above $1 million, and then it dropped, okay? And this is something coming from a weekend gross of $179 million, okay? And it fell from $179 million to $1 million within the space of 8 weeks. 8 weekends, sorry. Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman spent 7 weekends above $1 million. Started from $166 million and came down to $1 million. X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse started with $79 million, and it only spent 6 weeks in the cinema above $1 million. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles only spent 4 weeks above $1 million in the cinema. Okay, it did start with a low balance though, so we will not really, pay too much at heart against it. The next one is Deadpool. Deadpool is the one that actually has the longest legs this year. And Deadpool started at $152 million, and it fell within 9 weeks to over $1 million, and then from there on in, it did not make $1 million. Now, this is very important. Deadpool, Wu says Suicide Squad was patterning itself after, and look at this. Suicide Squad has done this now one better than Deadpool. It has done it for 10 weekends in a row. That is really awesome. And it started at $133 million. Deadpool started at 152 because it was a longer weekend, of course. That's the reason. It actually started off its weekend opening gross. If you were to compare, it was 132, but still nonetheless. So the point anyway is this. Deadpool did 9 weekends. Suicide Squad did 10 weekends, if this estimate holds up. And its position was 12th. Deadpool's position at the end of the 10th week was 15th. 15th. Could have to do with the slate of movies coming out. I don't think so. I think it just had to do with the fact that Deadpool could not maintain after that. That was it. It went down by 53%. Okay? Whereas Suicide Squad has gone down by 42%. Now, this is only if the actuals actually support this. If the actuals don't support this, it doesn't make a difference, right? But still, nonetheless, I just wanted to show you guys all of this. That's what makes Suicide Squad so special, because all of the movies I just mentioned, except for Batman v Superman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and X-Men Apocalypse, Captain America had legs because it was such a good movie. Deadpool had legs because it was such a good movie. Suicide Squad has done better than Captain America and better than Deadpool in terms of staying over $1 million in 10 consecutive weekends, the longest any comic book movie this year has done it. Okay? And we had comic book movie flops like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We had top-heavy comic book movies like Batman v Superman. And then we had comic book movies that got panned like X-Men Apocalypse, Batman v Superman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is the only movie that has been critically panned, and badly critically panned at that, even worse than Batman v Superman. It is the worst critically panned movie of all the movies we just mentioned, and yet it has done that well. It's doing better than all the movies except for Deadpool in terms of legs. It is doing better than all the other movies out there, all of them. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, 322 million. Now there's one more thing I want to show you guys, so let me get to it with my calculator. When I looked at its multiplier, so its multiplier is this number here, which is its domestic gross. This is an estimated domestic gross. We don't know what the final domestic gross will look like. And we compare it to its opening weekend. You divide it by opening weekend, you get a multiplier of 2.41. And 2.41 at present this year is the second highest multiplier, only second to Deadpool, which is 2.74, which is significantly higher. But nonetheless, that's the multiplier. But here is a caveat, and this is where things really close down. Now remember, 2.41, right? Now if you look at Deadpool's real opening weekend, if you take this figure instead, 152 million, and you divide it into this figure, you actually get a closer margin. Look at this. So if I take 363 million, right, and 70,709, and I divide it by its full opening weekend gross, which was 152 million, 193,853, I actually get a multiplier closer, or actually less than the multiplier for Suicide Squad. So Suicide Squad effectively has a higher multiplier, even better word of mouth, than Deadpool had. This is bearing in mind you take the extended weekend that Deadpool had and you compare that opener instead to the opener that Suicide Squad had. Alright? Because Suicide Squad also, I think, had an extended weekend itself. Or not. No, it didn't. It had an extended weekend somewhere else. I think it was here. September 2 to 5th. Okay. Nonetheless, the point is that if you cater for that, if you cater for the extended weekend instead, because you see this is week 1, okay, then from there you realize that Deadpool actually has the multiplier that's less than Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad so far in terms of comic book movies is the leggiest comic book movie of this year. I'm saying it again. Now this is bearing in mind that the estimates are correct. Then Suicide Squad would be the leggiest comic book movie of this year if you're taking into consideration the extended weekend of Deadpool, right? Because if you're being fair, Deadpool really opened at $152 million and not $132 million, as this was the part of the weekend, extended weekend, but still that's what we factor in. If you're going to look at any other rises and stuff, we look at the actual weekend. So if you bear that in mind, that's what it opened with. And then from there, you realize Suicide Squad is the leggiest movie, comic book movie that is, of this year. And then next would be Deadpool. And then next would be Captain America Civil War. And then next would be X-Men Apocalypse. And then next Batman v Superman. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it flopped. Right? So I'm just saying, this is only estimates, right? We'll compare the estimates that we had this year today with the actuals sometime later on in the week, and we'll see really how Suicide Squad's faring. But really, when you think about it, Suicide Squad has beaten back Deadpool in terms of his legginess, not only in terms of his legginess, but now, as we can see from the bare facts here, Suicide Squad is literally had more weekends over $1 million than even Deadpool has. And Deadpool was a damn fine movie because a lot of people liked it, and that's why it's a fine movie. It's not a fine movie because, you know, it's just a fine work of art. No, it's a fine movie because people liked it, and it only was able to do it for 9 weekends, and 9 weekends is a lot. Okay, the Suicide Squad has beaten that back and has done it for 10 weekends. All right, you guys have a great one.